Thank you, Todd Monken. Thank you for bringing some actual, real professional coaches in here, not barbers, not dudes that work at Walmart or Target or guys that collect trash on the side of the road on Thursdays and Fridays. We got a couple dudes fired. Nick Charlton gotta go. Pass game was terrible last year. Pack it up. Stop laughing. Nick Charlton gotta go. He's done. And Mike Bloomgren, he was the offensive line coach. Obviously, he's gone. We already did a video on a new offensive line coach. Listen, Mike Bloomgren, you had dudes tripping over grass. They was blocking Casper the Friendly Ghost, not touching anybody. It was terrible. Todd Monken is coming in and packing some of these new dudes up. We have to get into it. He brought on, let me see who he is. It says the Browns are hiring Danny Brayer as the new pass game coordinator. Brayer was an offensive assistant with the Ravens and worked closely with the tight end group, Harold Fannin. Monkin guys keep pouring in from Baltimore. So he's clean the house. So these two coaches that are done, they're not the only ones. There's going to be many, many more to come. So Mike Bloomgren, he don't got no spot no more. Nick Charlton is done. We bringing in this new guy from Baltimore. It's going to be a bunch of Baltimore Raven coaches being added. Okay, this dude better be good. Todd Monken, this guy better be good, man. He better be good. Let's see what they had to say about the hire on 92.3. My boy, they do a good job over here. I actually like this duo. I like them. They have fair dialogue. Some of these other dudes, the Jason Lloyds of the world, we don't rock with them. They're biased. We know where they stand. Let me pull it back up.
And plan B, we assume would be Jim Schwartz. But the Cleveland Browns, unbeknownst to whatever we thought, they went out here and they went a totally different direction from what we are known for that front office to be, an analytically driven front office. They went and got a football guy. We had a caller that called up here last week and said the Cleveland Browns need to stop messing around with the analytics and go get a football guy who can come up here and coach AFC North football. Well, I hope that you're happy this morning because that's exactly what the Cleveland Browns did. Once the initial shock wore off, I was fine because I had told you and everybody else that listened to us that no matter who the Cleveland Browns hired, I was going to be optimistic and open-minded. The Cleveland Browns went and got a guy that is very respected around the NFL, a guy that can relate to his players, a guy that can command and read the room, a guy that's a great football mind, and a guy that has a lot more personality than what we were led to believe. All in be all, you can't judge a book by its cover.
I just hope he's better than Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski was like nails on a chalkboard listening to him talk.
When you seen the hire of Todd Monken, what was your initial reaction and how do you feel about it now?
Well, I will start with this because, you mentioned being optimistic. And it's funny, like I texted you that day. I think I texted you and I was like, bro, I wish our show was today. Like I'm ready to talk about it and react to it. And I have so many things on my mind and so many things I want to say. And I do think like the initial reaction, like you said, was definitely like a shock. Like there is no other path forward though than like trying to be optimistic about it, trying to be excited about it, giving him a chance. You kind of have to do that, right? If you're a Browns fan, because he's your coach now. Like you don't no living, breathing Browns fan wants a coach to come here, whether they agreed with the hire or didn't agree with the hire. And wants them to fail. Like everyone should want him to be successful and be the coach that changes the complexion of the organization. Like I think that's at the heart of all this. But what I would say is this: like when it was initially announced that it was going to be Todd Monken, I think shock is probably the best way to describe it because everyone thought it was going in a different direction. I saw the frustrations of people who were like, "This is such a Browns move. This is such." And I do think over the last 72 hours, even really the first like 24 to 48 hours, people started to kind of come around a little bit more on it anyway. And some of that is, like I said, the fan optimism that you have to have about a decision like this. But some of that, too, is I think people realizing that Todd Monken has been a really good offensive coach, really good offensive coordinator in this league, and that he could bring some good things to the table. But what I would say is this, like, I understand where the initial frustration, and even some people who maybe still are a little frustrated, where that comes from. Because, and I want to be clear about this, I don't think that frustration is aimed at Todd Monken. I don't think it's a Todd Monken thing. I don't think people are mad at Todd. I don't think they think he completely stinks as a coach. I think that a lot of the frustration comes from fans don't trust the Browns to make these decisions, frankly. And listen, let's call a spade here. There was a lot of chatter about what was kind of going on behind the scenes. Jeremy Fowler even said it yesterday with Ken and Lima. From all indications, Andrew Berry loved him some Nate Shieldhouse. Andrew Berry wanted him some Nate Shieldhouse. It sounds like that was his move. He wanted to hire Nate Shieldhouse to be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns, and he was the one who was leading the search. So it's understandable why maybe he'd feel some type of way about, hey, I want this guy, but the owner maybe didn't want that guy, and they came to a disagreement. And so when you come, what people I think had problems with, or maybe still have problems with, isn't that you landed on Todd Monken. It's that you took 24 days. It sounds like there was a divide behind the scenes, and then it sounds like you just kind of settled on, well, I guess we can both kind of agree on Todd Monken, so let's just go with Todd Monken. It's that it didn't feel like it had a lot of conviction behind it. Do you get what I'm saying? I think that's what people are upset about, is that it felt like Todd Monken was never going to be the sexy name. He'd probably even tell you he doesn't think he's a sexy name. But like Grant Udinski was a sexy name. Nate Shieldhouse was a sexy name. Even to some, I'm sure like Jim Schwartz felt a little sexier because he was what you knew. He was in the building. But it wasn't that they don't like Todd Monken, the coach, or they don't like Todd Monken, the person. It was that I think they just don't trust the Browns, and it felt like they made this decision with very little conviction, with guys disagreeing behind the scenes, and that doesn't set people up in the right mindset to feel like it's going to be successful. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I think the other side of it, if I had to argue a different point, I would say that people had kind of already had this preconceived notion or kind of made up their mind that it was going to be one way. So, yeah, you can say that people don't trust the Cleveland Browns, but when you hear us come on air, when you read everybody who covered the Browns continuously tell you it's going to be a young offensive mind, and every single national reporter is reporting that the Browns are settled on this guy or that guy. If we're being quite honest and if we're keeping it 100, I think that a lot of people in the media kind of dismiss Todd Monken as being a serious, legit candidate.
He definitely was dismissed. Nobody was really taking him serious. But now that the dust is kind of settled, I'm happy about the hire because I know he actually wanted Shedeur. I don't know what one of those other coaches would have wanted. But get down in the comments and let me know what you think.